Welcome back to the couch. I'm Dez.
And I'm Jay.
And this is our Pineapple Express review. Coming up next.
With those two bald guys.
Oh no, we're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue.
Pineapple Express is a 2008 stoner action comedy directed by David Gordon Green and written by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg.
It stars Seth Rogen, James Franco, Danny McBride, Gary Cole, Amber Heard, and Craig Robinson. Dale Denton's enjoyment of a rare marijuana strain may prove fatal when he panics after witnessing a murder.
Upon learning the unique weed can be traced back to him, Dale and his dealer Saul go on a hilarious pop-fueled adventure with a dangerous drug lord hot on their trail. So Pineapple Express, man, this is actually the first time we actually saw a movie together in the theaters. So this is kind of like our preview to, a prelude to the show without even knowing it.
Yeah, we're coming full circle in a way, because you had passes or something?
Yeah.
Isn't that how we saw Pineapple Express when it's brand new? That was the first time I had gone to a pre-screening where they asked for your opinions at the end and all that. So that was fun.
We start off kind of with a black and white parody of how marijuana ended up on the banned substance list originally.
Okay, Private Miller,
You've been smoking item 9 for 7 minutes and 13 seconds.
how do you feel?
Well, sir, I feel like a slice of butter melting on top of a big old pile of flapjacks.
Our main character is played by Seth Rogen, Dale Denton. He's a process server.
It's a really interesting occupation. I think it's pretty clever. And I really think Seth Rogen's probably one of the few that can actually pull it off. He's a likable process server.
Dale's on his way to the high school because he's dating a high school girl, which is
Yeah.
also pretty funny.
Yeah.
Played by Amber Heard, very young Amber Heard. And she's great in this. Whenever she needs to, she actually can be really funny.
There's this really interesting dynamic where Dale is kind of jealous of a high school kid.
Oh, Clark.
Clark,
Clark, the popular kid or
the
whatever.
popular kid that does great Jeff Goldblum impersonations.
I wanted to tell you, you were hilarious today in drama class.
Seriously, your Jeff Goldblum impression made me pee my pants. Seriously.
I wish.
He shows up and Dale gets super, super jealous of this high school kid. And then there's kind of almost he's marking his territory type of situation. And then you got Joe Latrulio's in this. He's only in this one spot, but he is just hysterical.
I heard that. I wish I didn't hear that, but I just heard that.
And anytime he's in a film, I have to wonder how much of it is him ad-libbing because he's so good at improv.
Cynthia!
Oh, fire upon us all, lest the picker be true. Rub-a-dub-dub!
He's a teacher at the school.
I'm a teacher, okay? You can't talk to me like that, guy.
He's just trying to figure out the situation. Why is this 25-year-old man here talking to high school kids? And he doesn't quite get that Dale is getting mad at Clark because he's getting jealous.
Clark's a great guy, man. He's totally gonna take care of Angela, man. He's great. He's a wonderful lab partner, so it's gonna be cool. He'll keep an eye on her.
The whole entire dynamic between the four different characters, everything that's going on, it could be chaotic, but it's done very well. It's paced very well, and everyone's just bouncing right off of each other. It's very, very funny.
We first introduced into Saul, James Franco's character.
I thought the hurricane season was over.
I thought hurricane season was over.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
James Franco, I think, was great in this film. And to this point, to my recollection, I haven't think I've seen him in too many comedic roles. I'm used to seeing him in more serious roles. So I was kind of impressed with how entertaining he was as a comedic actor.
I thought hurricane season was over.
Around this time, I think because of this film, he started becoming known as the stoner, like a stupid comedy guy. And he got that reputation for a few years, but he then kind of transitioned back into a more serious, dramatic actor, doing stuff like The Disaster Artist, which I thought was probably one of the best films of that year. So he's kind of doing everything now, and I think it's just a credit to him as an actor. The whole introduction to Saul, where Dale shows up at Saul's place to get his drugs and whatever.
Do you think you could pull the plug on someone if you needed to? Like euthanasia?
Like on her? Kind of in a hurry, man. I don't know if we should start going down that road. It's
Yeah,
just, I could talk all
I
day
dig it.
about
Okay.
euthanasia. You know, don't get me started.
There's so much that happens. It's probably my favorite section of the entire film.
They had this whole weed head banter going between them back and forth. Just the conversation alone, it's entertaining the way that they interact with one another.
Part of that dialogue I love when Saul is trying to explain the process of making Pineapple Express.
Pineapple Express.
Pineapple Express.
Yes, it's this thing like El Nino, this airflow that comes from Hawaii and Canada, and it gets the dirt, mixes it in with the weed in a very special way. It's actually very scientific. I won't go into it right now, but I am the only guy in the whole city that has it.
He's very, very serious about this process.
The whole engineering of the cross joint, it's total weed head conversation. It's funny.
Saul's just talking about his favorite civil engineers.
This is like the apex of the vortex of joint engineering. It's rumored that M.M. O'Shaughnessy designed the first one, the guy who designed the Golden Gate Bridge. My second favorite civil engineer behind Hans Carl Bandel, Madison Square Garden.
Saul thinks he's Dale's buddy, of course, and it's cool because there's foreshadowing to this a little earlier when Dale's talking to the radio station.
Have you ever dealt with a drug dealer? It's terrible, it's weird, it's awkward, they kind of think they're your friend, but they're not your friend.
So when this other guy, Chris, shows up, I love when he just says that really quick line.
Chris, let's get this Snickle Fritz.
Right after that, we have another, like, one of my favorite little banter moments.
You got a great job where you don't do anything, you get to smoke weed all day? I wish I had that.
You do. You have the easiest job on earth. You do smoke weed all day.
That's true.
You didn't think of that. No.
Dale leaves Saul's apartment. He goes to, serve this next client, Ted Jones, which, let me mention, Dale basically went and picked up some weed while he was technically still on the clock. Just dawned on me 5 seconds ago. It probably would have worked out better had he not.
As Dale is out there in the car getting ready to get out and go serve these papers, he, of course, lights up a Pineapple Express joint. And as this is happening, we get Rosie Perez show up. I believe her name was Carol, and she's a police officer. She meets up with Ted Jones, Gary Cole, and they murder this guy in the house. Dale sees this whole thing, so he freaks out.
Pineapple Express.
This sets off a chain reaction of events that is our story for this film. So it takes a little while for this to get going, but it's so entertaining before this all happens. You don't care that it's taking this long to actually get the plot kicking.
Dale witnesses the murder, and then he doesn't know what to do. So he goes back to Dale. There's this really cool moment where he's buzzing him back in. I thought it was hilarious.
Come on up. I buzzed it. Open the door when I buzz it.
Buzz it in 3 seconds, exactly.
1, 2.
It work?
On 3.
I did it on 3. On 1, 2, 3, go.
It's edited very well too.
Yeah.
The cutbacks and forth are perfectly timed and everything. It's very funny. First they're freaking out because Ted's gonna find them, and then it's like, well, how's he gonna find us? Okay, we're safe. And then they start freaking out again, like he's gonna find. They keep finding reasons to calm down and freak out.
To recap, Saul's at the house and he's kind of high, basically. So he's just chill. He's on chill mode. And Dale just witnessed the murder. So he's come back. He's the frantic one. He's the one that has to convince the high guy that we got to get up. We've got to go.
Let's go! Go! Because I threw a roach at this outside of Ted's house. So what, man? He could find the roach and say, it's Pineapple Express in here. Saul is the only guy who has Pineapple Express. He must have seen the murderer. No, let's kill him. Get weed. Get the weed. Okay. Anything we might need. Snacks, food, fruit roll-ups.
What I thought was really well done was there's exposition in that section of the film where Franco's character, he basically has to let loose of who Red is, who's Ted, and who is everybody and how they all play together. And exposition dump like that can be handled very poorly, very easily. And I thought they handled it very well. So for a stupid stoner comedy, that was well done the way they just gave that to the audience, and it was entertaining.
It's perfect, I think, because he's a stoner character that doesn't have a ton of friends, but wants friends, so he tends to overshare.
It just dawned on me too, Dale doesn't really have any friends because he does go back to Saul, but he has nobody else in this film.
He didn't think to go to his girlfriend's house.
Right, he's got the girlfriend, but I mean, who does he hang out with? Because he specifically mentions that his drug dealer Saul is not his buddy. So who are his buddies? I didn't think about that. So we don't know anything about Dale's life, really. We need a prequel. How he came up with the disguises to be the process server he became. So they escape for about a day overnight, and they kind of think things through. Saul calls up Red, who got the Pineapple Express from Ted, so it's a direct connection there. And they need to know, what does Red know? Has anybody called Red to find out where they're at? Are they looking for them? Has anybody after them after this murder's been witnessed.
They finally make it over to Red's house, and this is the first time we get to see Danny McBride, who I think crushed it in this role. He was awesome every time he was on screen. Him and the female cop that comes in a little bit later on. What was her name?
Oh yeah, Cleo King.
Cleo King, yeah, she was awesome.
She's in the movie a little bit later than what we're talking about, and she's only in a small role, but she shows up in these comedies. She's always good, and I think she deserves a mention.
It's a home run every time the camera's on her. Same thing with Danny McBride in this one. There's this awkward moment where Dale's trying to shake his hand through the doorknob thing. There's that weird awkward
Dale
moment
and
there.
Red don't get off on the right foot at all.
No,
not
at all.
They don't like each other at all.
Well, Dale's kind of suspicious of him because, I mean, it's Saul's friend, and Saul 100% trusts him, but Saul's, he's a stoner guy, so I can't completely trust Saul's judgment.
He's not reliable.
He's not reliable at all. Dale, being the more skeptical one, is like, I don't 100% trust you because you got ties to the guy that I think is trying to kill me.
Red is picking up on this vibe that he doesn't trust him, so that makes Red not like him. This ramps up right into the great Red versus Dale showdown.
You gotta break the door! Are you gonna pay for it? Time out!
Truce.
Damn it! No! Cheater! I'm sorry. Red!
It does kind of shift into an action film as it goes along.
They duct tape Red to a chair, and Dale is threatening him with a small cactus.
Right.
Tell me everything you know.
Right.
And then in the process, Ted's goons show up, and then that's when Saul and Dale flee.
Red, promises them he'll stay loyal to them now. He's sorry for betraying them. And then as soon as they leave, he tells the goons, where they're at. So now Dale and Saul are on the run again. They figure out we need money. We have this weed. We could sell weed. They end up selling weed to kids and get caught. This is when Cleo King shows up, and she doesn't actually witness them selling it to the kids, but she's heard rumors and she saw the kids coming back high.
She actually saw the kids' eyes were as red as this couch right here.
Because she didn't actually witness it, I guess she actually starts to listen to what Dale is saying, and he's trying to explain to her, look, I know it's bad, but this is why. So she's cool and she actually listens because she's been seeing some funny business going on in her department. Well, right as she's believing him, Saul shows up. She, of course, almost runs him over, and she's got Dale in the back, so he thinks this is the same lady cop Dale saw at the murder, which it's not.
There's this crazy chase scene.
A great car chase, actually.
A great car chase. He tries to kick out the windshield, and his foot gets stuck.
Yeah.
That's probably one of my favorite visuals in the entire film.
Now we're starting to see the part in the storytelling where things start to go awry, and you get that downward spiral before you have to overcome. And so Saul and Dale are kind of at each other's throats now. They're blaming each other for all this stuff.
Car chase, gunshots, that clearly just happened because we were smoking marijuana.
Only reason I started selling pot is so I could put my bubby in a nice retirement home.
Oh, yeah, she must be proud of you for that.
She is really proud of me, and I'm gonna become something, man. As soon as she dies, I'm gonna become a civil engineer. I'm gonna design septic tanks for playgrounds. Little kids can take
The civil engineer stuff comes back, which I thought was hysterical.
After they've gone their separate ways, Dale's just kind of going over the events in his head, realizing that he just kind of feels guilty about the entire situation. He calls Angie and tries to make amends because they had a fight too. So they have this great back and forth where you think they're gonna reconcile.
I'm calling because I love you more than anything in the world. And I want to let you know I'll do anything to make it work.
I don't know, I want to marry you.
Oh, I made a mistake.
What do you mean?
It is a comedy, so you forgive a lot, and it's entertaining and funny pretty much throughout the whole film. But if I'm looking at it from a storytelling point of view, a script point of view, Angie and her parents kind of appear and then disappear a couple times in the film, and then they're just kind of gone. So I don't know. I think that could have been tightened up a little bit better. I just felt like that was a loose end, that maybe there was something that got left on the cutting room floor.
Saul is basically kidnapped and hidden away at Ted's secret lair where he grows his product. So Dale goes and recruits Red to go and try to rescue Saul.
Yeah, there's a truce that happens between...
they have a truce.
between Red and Dale, and it's great.
Red.
They shot me, Den. They got me right here.
Yeah?
Right here. And then they got me again right here.
Look, man, Ted, he took Saul, and I'm gonna get him back.
Ted Jones messed with the wrong melon farmers. Thug life.
Red's the one kind of, I think, the most pumped, and then they get there and he bails.
Nope, I can't do it.
Out of here.
Right.
That was a pull the rug out from under you moment. I like that.
Yeah, so Dale goes in to attempt to rescue Saul on his own, and then we get into this great series of events.
The third act of this film, it really turns into a completely different movie. And it was really jarring for me when we first saw it in the theater. And then on further viewings, it didn't bother me at all. And so now that I haven't seen it in a few years, it's weird going back. I don't know how much I like that. It's not that any of this action sequence at the end is poorly done. It's not at all, but I just found myself wishing I was back in the first 2/3 of the movie. There's a quick moment when they first kidnap Saul and bring him into their marijuana warehouse, and they open up a hatch on the floor.
What's down there? Fucking Rancor?
I just loved that. It's a stupid little Star Wars reference, but it's just so funny, and it's just in passing, you almost miss it.
And there's actually a Kim Jong and Bobby Lee sighting in this film. I forgot those guys were there.
Yeah.
And I don't think they really had very many lines. I think Kim Jong had like one funny line in there somewhere.
Yeah, this is pre-Hangover fame
Yeah,
for him. That's why.
exactly.
Yeah. So he was getting smaller roles at the time, but he's still funny in it.
They have this big fight scene of the good guys basically versus the bad guys, and then Red, who we thought had retreated, I didn't want any part of this. He comes in at the last minute to save the day, and Craig Robinson's death is pretty entertaining.
This is a really good cast in this film, I think, even for just the smaller roles. The whole thing ends up in a huge explosion, and our three heroes, Dale, Red, and Saul, I guess kind of save the day. At least for them, they've saved their day. And they go to a restaurant and have some food at the end, and that's it.
There's one thing I didn't care too much for about that whole sequence. After the explosion, they destroyed all the marijuana. I think it would have been better had our heroes got their hands on some of that product, and all of a sudden Dale becomes a dealer with Saul or something like that.
So now we're talking sequels as well as prequels.
Sequels, prequels,
all right.
Bring them on.
Sounds good. So let's sum up Pineapple Express.
Pineapple Express, I think, is the closest thing we're going to get to a modern day Cheech and Chong. It feels like the humor and the entertaining aspects of this film aren't necessarily generated from the script, it's from the performances. The heavy lifting in this film is done by Seth Rogen, James Franco, Craig Robinson, and Danny McBride. They're the most entertaining aspects of this entire film. The most glaring flaw is the whole third act. I think 2/3 of this film were trying to do one thing specifically, be a comedic film to try to entertain you and make you laugh. And then in the third act, it completely switches to an action film with a few funny moments sprinkled in there. So that's the biggest flaw that I have. It was still enjoyable. They set up enough of this movie in the first 2/3 of this movie in order to get away with it in the last third. I'd give Pineapple Express 3 out of 5 shiny bald heads.
Pineapple Express is a film that I almost forgot about. It was really fun to go back and revisit it. Usually with comedies, you're more worried about, the people on screen making you laugh. But I really found that there's a lot of really talented people working on this film, both in front and behind the camera. If you just love dumb, stupid comedies, whether you like stoner comedies or not, I don't think matters. I find it to be just a hysterically fun film, and I have no shame in giving it 4 out of 5 shiny bald heads. That was our Pineapple Express review. We really hope you enjoyed it.
So join us next time, right here on this couch.
Last time on the couch, we reviewed Unbreakable. So if you missed it, now's a great time to check it out. If you enjoy what we're doing, please hit that like button and subscribe to receive alerts when new videos are posted. Don't forget to click the bell icon. Thanks for joining us on the couch.
Peace out, Holmes.
Thank
God. Lingerer, man.
Yeah, totally.
Linger.
He doesn't like lingerers.
No, he does not like linger. You gotta
freaking linger, man. That's a bad quality to have. Don't linger, bro.
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I actually wet my pants.